Hello, welcome everybody. In this MSMUN conference, we are going to be discussing many sustainable development goals that can affect and change the world forever. However, in this video, they'll see that the SDG that is being dealt with is SDG 14, life below water. The ocean is one of the great beauties of the world, and so are the animals living in it. The main objective of Sustainable Development Goal 14 is to save the ocean and life below by preventing it from getting polluted by the year 2030. In this video, I'll be discussing the implications of marine pollution from the extraction of fossil fuels. Fossil fuels in today's world are one of the pillars of our societies. They allow us to power the world and use that energy for many things. However, over time, the world has discovered all the impacts and implications it has on our environment. Many of you know how it affects the sky, but not the sea. Carbon dioxide from the burning fossil fuels accumulates in the atmosphere, where it causes global warming, but it also affects our oceans. As carbon dioxide enters the ocean, it reacts with seawater to form carbonic acid. That's the equivalent in weight of 500 billion Volkswagen Beetles dumped at sea. Fossil fuel extraction is a common practice in most places around the world. Here is a 2-minute clip explaining how an oil rig works from an oil company called North Sea Oil and Gas. Now, that we know how that works, we are able to understand how this may hurt the environment. However, if you aren't able to grasp the harm it causes, here are some specific factors that can enlighten you. During the transportation of these fossil fuels, specifically oil, spills can occur. The oil's environmental impact on water is damaging in a variety of ways. When there are oil spills in the ocean or fresh water, it does not blend with the water. Oil floats on the surface of salt and fresh water. Over a very short period of time, the oil spreads out into a very thin layer across the surface of water. This can block sunlight from reaching oceanic environments, which can severely impact producers and thus the entire food chain of an ecosystem. Marine and coastal life can be contaminated in a number of ways, through poison by ingestion, destruction of habitat, and direct contact with oil. For example, when oil floats on the water's surface, a marine mammal that surfaces in the center of the slick ingests oil. Marine animals and organisms that swim through the slick area can also ingest oil through their gills. Even if a marine animal is miles from the oil spill, but they eat another organism was close by, they'll ingest that oil, which is poisonous. Ingesting oil can cause any number of problems besides death and sickness. If an animal or other marine organisms ingest oil, it can affect their ability to reproduce and produce viable offspring. This can also affect their habitat for a longer period of time due to the fact that the oil can change how the environment of the sea smells, feels, etc. Although us humans cannot grasp it, this is a very detrimental fact that causes lots of species in the ocean to live and decide on where they're living. Fossil fuels still supply 84% of the world's energy, and other eye-openers from BBP's annual review. This week, BP released a statistical review of World Energy 2020 and has discussed that it will take a longer time for the world to shift into renewable energy sources. Although we are able here, we're going to discuss economic factors. This chart that above you now, this chart shows countries by their dependence on exports of fuel commodities, which include natural gas and coal, as well as oil and oil products. Saudi Arabia is ranked 11th. Countries where fuel accounts for more than 90% of total exports include Algeria, Azerbaijan, Brunei, Iraq, Kuwait, Libya, Sudan, and Venezuela. For an idea of which economies rely most heavily on oil, this chart using 2012 World Bank data shows oil revenue as a share of GDP. Saudi Arabia comes third after Kuwait and Libya with roughly 45% or GDP depending on oil, which means that the world and a lot of economies are depending on this oil, and taking it away or changing how the fossil fuel landscape works can affect these countries. Social factor. Many of the countries just spoken about would have to completely change their lives and how their income is made, and that can cause social implications because they are going to have to get rid of lifestyles they are used to, certain norms that have developed. Politically, many countries today derive their strength and their dominance in their region from their great economies. Many key players on the world stage are oil-rich countries due to their control over the energy space in the world. The dominance of these oil fuel-rich countries has caused a new dynamic on the world stage. In places such as the G20, many fossil fuel-based countries will have to redevelop their status on the world stage, which would cause political confusion among countries around the world. In conclusion, here at MSMUN-Q 2021, we are trying to solve this issue in the most effective way possible and make our environment a better place, especially the life below water.